Is that tranquil or what? I'm not kidding. I think those might be what we call screecher parrots. Good morning. Welcome to Eat Your Backyard. This morning, I just thought I'd bring you along on the morning ritual. And no morning ritual with the chickens would be complete without mealworms. Well, I always do that. Started with mealworms because that's what they had at the pet shop. Moved on to soldier fly larvae. Oh, I only latched one latch last night, but somehow the sweet little chickadees survived. Oh, you get excited, don't you? And by the way, the just regular no-float mulch has been working really great for chicken coop run flooring. Totally recommend that. Way less flies, like not many at all. And I can really tell that chickens like it. Good morning, sweet little girls. You ready to get out? All right, let's let them out. Recommend this system on your chicken door. Regular gate latch with a long bar. Good morning. Here they come. They know what's coming next. We've got them in a pattern, even this young. You pecking at my leg? Hey, you. Oh, what is that? Is that the air conditioner? Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to get out of here without allowing them to escape. Little note on chicken coop construction. You see how I leave the space there? That's left there so that I don't ever pinch the chicken toes. That's at least as high as a chicken toe, right? You don't want your toes pinched. You know, because they love to kind of get up in the front of the cage. They're going to want to get out, get to foraging. I love my gate design. That's the whole design. And last night I got this temporary little fence finally standing up straight with some bamboo canes I harvested from the clump out front. And this is just to prevent the birds from immediately going in here and eating all these plants as I let them out every morning, because that's what they want to do. They're all tasty plants, so these birds are going to go right towards them. I really want plants there, so I now prevent them. And I've got a great system going where I just release them, and almost the only way they can go is right back in here, and I can just gently kind of walk this way, and if I bring these, well, they're coming, and get them back into their run. It's a pretty basic system, but you see, I've got a little bit of wire here. This is actually a door that I then just latch on with a small piece of wire onto there after I let them in, but then they get access to this beautiful, beautiful chicken paradise. Okay. All right, chickens. Are you ready? Now, if you're new to the channel, I'll tell you, these chickens are probably something like 3.5 months old, maybe 4 months old. Had them since they were one day at the feed store, and we got them because of their docile behavior traits that seem common among these two breeds, Rhode Island Reds and Rhode Island Red hybrids, that is, and Barred Rock, both heritage breeds in America, both old, long-time relationships living with humans, a couple hundred years. Chicken breeds were not that common prior to that. Most chickens prior to a couple hundred years ago, my research said, oh, look at that. Look at that. You're wondering, what happened? Vented. You have these logs you're thinking about flying over. Yeah, they're curious about this new fence. I like this method just because it's really peaceful. Hey, Camel. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I totally agree. We say that all the time. Jack and I are always saying that you're so beautiful. You're so pretty. They really are just pretty chickens. It's like, how could you possibly get these little creatures? They were selling the mixed breed ones for $1 a piece. Or was it 50 cents a piece for the chicks? We had a hard time resisting getting 10 of them, but of course we did. But I think this is more than enough. This is all that I can really fit reasonably into my into the hen house I built, and it's more than enough chickens to feed my whole family. That's for sure. 1,300 eggs a year. And I am thinking, I'll announce it here, I'm thinking of making a surviving for a week eating off my backyard video, or trying to expand on that idea once I get the eggs flowing, which will then make it possible for me to do that. I mean, I could do it now, but I would have very little protein and cholesterol, which I kind of like, so that my brain continues to function correctly. So I love the fruits and veg too. Are you the last one in? You're a free thinker. Oh, do we let them keep any of their eggs? Well, they haven't laid an egg yet. They'll lay an egg probably in about 2 months, I'm told. Well, okay, so here's what I learned. Everything I know about chickens, I learned within the last 6 months, pretty much. And by just researching it. Look, see how they like that roosting bar? I have natural roosting bars, in other words, big branches I've laid around on the ground. They love that. I'm gonna go right to scratching and foraging. But yeah, so I haven't let them keep any of their eggs. Meaning I don't plan to let them keep their eggs. I know that you can have one of these hens fertilized by a rooster. I could easily do that over at Funky Chicken Farm out there in Palm Bay. I'm sure she would be willing. That's where we dropped our rooster off. We had a rooster. We named him Sirius Black. He was a great rooster. I would have loved to have kept him. He was my favorite chicken out of the whole. We bought 6. Everybody told us, get a couple more than you plan to have, because since you're new to chicken, you'll probably lose a couple. They die easily. Well, all 6 survived and did very well. And they did actually get a thing called pasty butt, which is where their vent gets kind of clogged, and a lot of chickens die from that. Thanks, Gardner Twitty. Yeah, that was my daughter, Jessica. We let the kids, I'm not gonna say we let the kids name them as names occur, and that was a good one. You had a snake get in the coop, says Kay in Florida. Oh, Kay in Florida, good to see you, by the way. Yeah, I think you said you have a lot of chickens. Love to tap into that master chicken knowledge. I'm looking at the comment. You had a snake get into the coop and it killed 2 of the baby chicks. The coop is sealed, so now, oh wow. Okay, it's sealed, and then you lock the chicks in at night. Yeah, they got the chicks. That's what most of what I've read says, don't let them out because they're so likely to get eaten when they're chicks, or that a snake could get into a coop, that kind of thing. That's very interesting. Yeah, you really don't know what kind of snakes you have in the neighborhood until you put out a bunch of baby chicks peeping and smelling like baby chicks. Look at these hens. Yeah, pretty comfortable. I'm almost a little worried that this one might try to make the leap. We'll see. We really need to clip their wings. I'm just putting that off. I've never done it, but I know it's like basically trimming their toenails or whatever, trimming their fingernails. But we just have not done it. I'm proud of the reuse of this old kid's desk frame. This is my son's desk he used through high school, but of course he's off in college now, doing very well. New desk, actually. He was just sending me video of his new desk setup. He designed a whole new setup. It's really cool. But he has far evolved out of this childhood desk. And we took off the particle board, just laid it down like this, and they love it. And I think one of the things they love about it is the fact that it has that wobbliness to it, which I think is a lot like a natural branch for ground fowl. I'm most pleased right now by the simple fact that these chickens are not loud. And they just work all day long. They're workers. Making that compost. All right, now I do have a special topic for those of you who are on the stream. Thank you for jumping on. Please give this stream a thumbs up if you like it or find it useful in some way. Let me feed these little, before we get into that topic, feed the hens. Sorry about that, I'm trying to one-hand this. There you are, little breakfast treat. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, chick, chick. Yeah, fully capable of flying. Oh yeah. And then I usually put some over here too. I like to spread it out a little bit. All right, so the topic is related to permaculture, and oh yeah, I made a new wire system last night with some heavier duty wire. Gotta replace this stuff with it too. And that is establishing a list of nodes to start getting resources from and giving resources to in the sense of a system. Now, this is a core concept of permaculture, which is that you are like a node in a network with inputs and outputs. And, you know, the thing is, you feed other nodes and they feed you. All right, so this year I did not do well dealing with the volume of mangoes that we encountered as a result of starting to get really deep into the permaculture. You know, with the inclusion of rabbit manure, this yard perked up. I mean, radically. We just leveled up dramatically in a number of ways pretty fast. The chickens were actually the last part in the system recently, but you know, we've got these worm farms, red wigglers, so we're getting worm tea. We've got 2 sweet little lion head bunnies that are producing manure all the time, and that manure and the worm tea applied everywhere just over the course of many months, along with a concerted effort to keep everything watered. I don't mean overwater, I mean just focused watering, resulted in a bumper crop of everything. Everything. There's 5 things I could walk around and eat right now in this yard. That's pretty cool. That was really related to the initial goal of doing this as a hobby or as a thing that I love to do with my family, and that was to achieve the goal of being able to eat something in my yard year round. 365 days of food harvest possibility. And I've achieved that for sure. But when I can achieve that with 5 different things, then I'm stoked. Oh, your husband's saying he likes to get a donkey. Yeah, what's a donkey good for? Donkey's good for hauling a heavy load a far distance. It's like that's where they came up with the concept of horsepower. So yeah, I always think of a donkey as a novelty horse, but they sure do eat a lot, donkeys. But if you have a place you can graze them out in pasture, stuff like that, that's pretty cool. I grew up on a farm, so we had a horse, we had a bull, we had goats, sheep. I'll tell you what a donkey's really good for, and that is creating donkey manure. And if that's not gold, I don't know what is. But horse manure is good, really good, better than cow manure by far, in terms of its nutrient content. And by the way, if you're using cow manure like I was, thinking you were doing something great, you're doing something very minor, is what I discovered by adding cow manure. And you're not quite sure what is in that cow manure. What has that cow been eating? You go buy it at the store. Is it full of, who knows what? Are there pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, whatever in that cow's been eating, and now you're putting it into your system? I don't have that concern anymore because I have bunny manure and chicken manure, which are super high quality, super high quality manure in terms of nutrient content. Now, horse manure is above cow manure, like I said, but most people I know place cow manure at the bottom. So I would say having a pile of composting donkey manure or horse manure would be a treasure in any garden. Yeah, I wonder if they could forage most everything from, it just depends. I like the concept of not having to buy a lot of feed for animals, though. That's for sure. I joke with my kids, where did the pilgrims go to buy their chicken food? So we should be able to feed them compost, and chickens love compost. Stoked on this. I just put in a rich layer of chicken manure. See the feathers? Chicken bedding filled with chicken manure into the composter, and this will stink down over time. It needs to get some waterings to really start doing its thing with this new layer. But see, we got bamboo on top. But the making of getting the manure internally, everything they've eaten, put it in here, you're making soil, everything that's in that soil within reason. Now, so back to the topic I was bringing up is that the mangoes just came in gangbusters this year, and so did all the other fruit. But there are some things that have a lot of value in terms of being able to trade and live up to that permaculture principle of wanting to be a node in a network. And I did a little of this year, which I'm pretty happy about. I actually brought a 5-gallon bucket of mangoes over to Funky Chicken Farms, and we did some exchange there for a little bit of mead, which was incredible, by the way. Cherry mead. And the other one, the last one I had was a citrus mead. But then also citrus blossom honey. So I traded 5-gallon bucket for both those things. That was incredible. It made my day, made my week. Amazing. Now, in addition, I gave my next door neighbor, I don't know, a couple buckets of mangoes, and I should have given him 10 buckets of mangoes. Next year, but you see, I had no math, no real farming system set up to deal with this. Next year, I'm going to be prepared. I'm actually going to do some videos on how I'm going to arrange the distribution of these mangoes. And I'm not kidding, I get at least 300 mangoes just from my Tommy Atkins mango tree, just from this tree. So where those mangoes go, maybe a dozen or so fit in a 5-gallon bucket. They're so big. So I gave my next door neighbor mangoes, and he made an incredible hot sauce with the hot peppers he's growing and the mangoes I gave him. So I have some hot sauce that I got back from that transaction. So incredible. Now next year I'd like to get hay. We need hay here. We're going to need a continuous flow of hay. And I'd also like to get grain, because I'd like to start sprouting grain in the compost that I put down for the chickens so that they can eat the sprouts. That's another way to feed them easily, inexpensively, high nutrition, and a number of other things. So the things which I need this year, I'm going to try to largely facilitate through setting up relationships with other local farms and systems that people have going on, because people love mangoes, and also people love bananas. And once my banana grove capabilities back up, I totally interrupted it and moved everything around. But once the banana situation gets up, I should be producing a really good volume of bananas. So I think people might be willing to trade for those as well. These are, without a doubt, the best bananas I've ever had in my life. That's Musa. But once they get going, I mean, I had it up where I had a nonstop flow of bananas, and that's really the way to do bananas. By the way, I always say, you gotta have a clump, gotta have a little banana forest to get into the banana game in the way you need to, because you're not gonna just wanna have one. Same thing with pineapple, same things with dragon fruit. Yeah, that's right, and that's the other thing. Once you get the fruit off, the banana dies, because it's really just a gigantic grass. So you want to have those other, like on this one, the Musa I planted, this was original from a cutting. Actually, this is a banana pup, just to show you. I did in a video a long time ago. I should put a link here to that. Anyway, this is a pup that grew out of the original, and so it's ready to go. So once this gives its fruit, and I chop this down. By the way, all of this biomass goes right into the yard. I use this technique of creating banana mulch now. I chop it up with a machete, and it's great mulch. Worms love it in my yard, the regular Florida worms. Always find them under it as it's rotting. But yeah, you chop that down and you don't have a big hole. Like, this is gonna fill it right in. You don't even miss it. So I'm gonna set up a whole list of places and people and resources that I need this year. It won't take that long, so that I'm ready to go, because otherwise it's more mangoes than I can possibly deal with. I mean, I could deal with it. It's just like I'd rather go surfing with Jack than this year. Plus, I'm also not a mango processing extraordinaire. I learned that when I almost cut my end of my finger off with a knife cutting mangoes. Those suckers are slippery. Now I have a no-cut glove that I wear when I slice mangoes, so that I don't encounter that twice, or reduce the likelihood of encountering it twice. But it's more than I really want to do on a consistent basis. I mean, once you've dehydrated 10 bags of mangoes, you can go farther, certainly, but for me oh man, they're so good. But that's the other thing. They're so good and so also high in calories, because you could eat, like, I could eat 5 mangoes in a sitting without even blinking, watching TV, just putting my hand in the old dried mango bag. Before you know it, you know, you've eaten like a 600 calorie mango meal, which is fine, but it's a lot. Yeah, so I'll have that all dialed in next year for sure. And I'm going to start to play with it more and more this way, and also use it as a way to meet new people, new places around, expand the web a little bit, which is fun. These pineapples are doing well in this situation here. I've got to go and buy some more pineapples. And you know, there are actually this area was a big pineapple producing area long ago, back in the 20s, etc. There are gigantic pineapple groves here, and they had some freezes which wiped them out, and I don't think they ever really recovered, but there still are some small pineapple farms down in, I think, down towards Sebastian, Vero Beach, etc. So I'd like to see if I can find anything like that. Of course, I'm guessing if it's a pineapple farm, they're probably swimming in mangoes and bananas too. So not much of a trade there, but I would like to get some cool varieties of pineapples. In the stream yesterday, we were talking about the red pineapple, which is incredible. So there's a lot of, I like to explore the variety, and you just say pineapple, but there's lots of different kinds of pineapples. Like, look at this. This is the kind you typically will find in the store, commercial variety. It doesn't have a serrated edge. It's very smooth. This is what they call the wild pineapple or whatever. I've heard it called that. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's got a serrated edge on it that will cut you. And they both are great, but here's at least 2 varieties without even trying hard. The third variety would be the red kind, and there's probably many more than that. So I don't know, got 20 spaces here. I think this is going to be the perfect pineapple growing machine, actually, just because they like to be root bound, and they don't need much water. But the initial pineapple I planted here, which actually looked kind of rough when I planted it, is doing great, and that tells me this is the right place to put them. I just transplanted these 2 from an area they had suffered in for years, and we're going to turn this into a pine, and I think it's going to look really cool too once we get the pineapples around the lower levels. This is a cool way to garden, certainly, vertical. This is great for all kinds of vegetables, for a lot of reasons, but there it is. Okay, well, thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. If you found this useful at all, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I hope you have a great day in your neck of the woods.